Good afternoon, folks. Now, let me get set up for the show, and I'll be right with you in a few minutes. Yeah. Just a minute, guys. Be right with you. I have to get. All right. 1 second, folks. Okay, good afternoon. Today's topic A is the title is The Key to Caring for Aging Parents. Accept that you can't fix everything. And why policy must catch up. Okay, we're going to go through that today for A. So please join me for today's discussion A. Here we go. You learn the limits of personal caregiving in the small, ordinary moments, not the dramatic ones, not the hospitalizations or the midnight phone calls, but the quiet scenes that unfold in kitchens and living rooms across the country. One winter evening, I watched my mother stand at the sink, rinsing dishes, with the water barely trickling out. She moved slowly, pausing between each plate as if she needed to remember what came next. I felt the familiar tightening in my chest, the instinct to fix, to intervene, to restore. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the way she hummed softly, the same tune she used to sing when I was a child. Maybe it was the pride on her face when she finished the last plate. I realized this is not about dishes. This is about autonomy. This is about dignity. This is about letting her be a person, not a project. The moment taught me the first truth of caregiving. You cannot fix everything. But it also revealed the second harder truth. You are trying to do this in a system that was never built to support you. The personal limits are real, and so are the structural ones. Caregiving is not just emotional labor, it is policy exposure. Every gap in the long term care system becomes a burden carried by families. Every unfunded service becomes a task absorbed by daughters, sons, spouses. Neighbors. Every missing support becomes another hour unpaid labor, another rearranged work schedule, another night of interrupted sleep. Acceptance, the emotional kind, is necessary, but acceptance of the policy status quo is not. Seen the medication list. There was a day when I sat at my mother's kitchen table with a stack of pills, pill bottles, trying to decipher which specialist had prescribed what. The labels were tiny, the instructions were vague, the refill dates didn't line up. I called the pharmacy, I called the doctor, I called the insurance company, I called again. I remember thinking, why is this so hard? Why is this on me? Because the system assumes it will be. Because the United States has built a long-term care infrastructure on the backs of families, mostly women, who are expected to absorb complexity without compensation, training or respite. This is not a personal failure. This is a policy failure. The fall. The night my father fell, he insisted he was fine. He insisted he did not need help. He insisted he could walk, but he couldn't, and I couldn't lift him alone. I called the non-emergency line and waited. I waited. I paced. I worried. I wondered why there wasn't a simple, accessible fall response service for older adults. Something between do nothing and call 911. There should be. There could be. There could be. There isn't. Because we have never built a continuum of community-based supports that match the realities of aging. Again, not a personal failure, a policy failure. The policy implications hidden inside every caregiving story. Long-term care is the largest unfunded liability in America or in American family life. most most families discover this only when a parent begins to decline. Medicare doesn't cover custodial care. Medicaid doesn't cover Medicare doesn't cover custodial care. Medicaid requires nearly poverty. Private long-term care insurance is expensive and often inadequate. Caregivers accept they can't fix everything, but they shouldn't have to fix the financing system too. Home and community-based services are chronically underfunded. The supports that keep people safe at home, personal care aides, adult day services, adult day programs, transportation, respite are inconsistently available, waitlist, or unaffordable. Families fill the gaps because the system leaves them no choice. The direct care workers, the direct care workforce is collapsing. Low wages, high turnover, and limited training mean families often cannot find a reliable help. The workforce shortage becomes a family crisis. Care coordination is a myth without infrastructure. Medication management, appointment tracking, communication between specialists, all of it falls to caregivers. Not because they are the best positioned, but because no one else is assigned. Family caregivers are the invisible backbone of the system. They provide billions of hours of unpaid labor, often at the expense of their own health, employment, and financial stability. Yet they receive little training, minimal support, and almost no compensation. Acceptance should not mean absorption. The personal acceptance caregivers must cultivate, I can fix everything, should not be confused with accepting a broken system. Caregivers can accept the limits of aging. They should not have to accept the limits of policy immigration. The emotional work of caregiving is hard enough. The structural work should not fall on the same shoulders. A vision of policy that matches reality. Imagine a system where every older adult has access to affordable home-based supports. Every caregiver receives training, respite, and financial assistance. Every community has fall response teams, transportation networks, and caregiver navigators or care navigators. Every clinician is connected through inoperable systems that reduce caregiver burden. Every employer offers caregiver friendly policies that recognize the realities of aging families. This is not a troping. It is overdue. The narrative and policy are the same story. The moment you watch your parents struggle with a simple tasks is the moment you understand the stakes of long-term care policy. The moment you feel the instinct to fix and the heartbreak of realizing you can't is the moment you understand why families need support. Caregiving teaches humanity. Policy must teach responsibility. You cannot fix everything, but policymakers can fix the system. Until they do, caregivers will continue to carry more than they should, with love, exhaustion, and devotion, and with quiet hope that someone somewhere will finally see the truth. Aging is universal. Caregiving is inevitable. Support should be guaranteed. Okay, guys, that is your A for today. Now, I will do the rest of the shows after lunch. So I will see you guys in a bit for B and C. For now, Gator Wellness, take care, folks.